Hello, welcome back to my channel, Math and Spanish Magic Academy. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. Then drop a comment or message me anytime with any math, Spanish, or English topic you want for me to cover. Today we're going to review adding and subtracting polynomials, okay? So polynomial is a mathematical expression made up of variables, which are the letters. Most of the time you're going to be using x and y coefficients, which are the big numbers on the left side of the variable. For example, 3x squared, 3 is a coefficient, the big number to the left side of the variable. The variable is the letter x. And we also have exponents. Exponents are the little numbers. For example, 3x squared, it's 2, to which the variable is raised to. Okay, so here we have a polynomial. And we have different names of polynomials. It can be a monomial, made of one term, binomial made of two terms, trinomial made of three terms, and then we can have as many as polynomials. Okay, so let's take a look at this expression. We have parentheses, okay, and we have three terms, 1, 2, 3 on the first parenthesis, and we have a plus sign dividing both parentheses. So the plus is going to affect the three terms inside the parentheses. How it says plus sign is not going to affect it. It's going to stay the same. Positive 4x squared minus 3x plus 7. Okay, so how I have a plus sign in between, it doesn't affect the signs of the second parentheses. So I'm going to take a look and simplify. I'm going to simplify. And for me to simplify and combine like terms, they need to have the same exponent and variable. So let's take a look at which ones have the same exponent and variable. So I have x squared has the same 3x squared and 4x squared. These two terms have the same letter, which is a variable, and exponent 2. So I can simplify those, okay? So 3 plus 4 is 7x squared. I already simplified the x squared. Now, I'm going to take a look if I have an x raised to the first power. So I have the 5x, right? The x is raised to the first power, but you're never going to see an x raised to the first power. So if it's just x on its own, you know it's raised to the first power. And then I have a negative 3x, right? So 5 minus 3 is 2, positive 2x. And then I'm going to take a look if I have constants. Constants are the numbers itself. And I have a negative 2. Okay. Here I have it. This is my constant, a number by itself with no variable. And I have a plus 7. So negative 2 plus 7, or 7 minus 2 is plus 5. And that's it. I cannot simplify more. Okay. Right? I don't have another x squared, I don't have another x, and I don't have another constant. And I order from greatest to lowest exponent. Okay, so we solved the first one with a plus sign. Okay, so it didn't affect my second parenthesis. Now I'm going to have a negative sign in between. Yeah, I see that I have a negative here. So that means that the negative is going to affect the negative 2x cubed. Okay, so I need to rewrite that part. So the first parenthesis is going to stay the same, 6x cubed minus 4x plus 9. And this is what's going to change. Negative times 2x squared cubed is negative 2x cubed. Then negative times positive 3x is negative 3x, because positive times negative is negative. And then look at this, negative times negative 5. Negative times negative is positive. So positive 5. So remember the rules. Negative times negative becomes a positive. A negative times a positive is a negative. Okay. And if I have first a positive times a negative becomes a negative. And a positive times a positive will become a positive. Okay, so those are the multiplication rules. Okay, so now I already multiplied times the negative. So now I can simplify. So which ones have the same variable and exponent? So I have here 6x cubed. I have another x cubed here. So 6 minus 2 is 4x cubed. Now I checked x to the first power. I have negative 4x, right? And negative 3x. Negative 4 minus 3, they have the same sign, so I add them and I leave the sign that both of them have. So negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7x. Okay, they have the same sign, so I add them. 4 plus 3 is 7, and I leave the same signs that they have. Now let's take a look if I have constants. I do. Positive 9, right? And a plus 5, so I add them. So positive 14. And that's it. I cannot do anything else. I cannot simplify more in their order from highest exponent to the lowest. Okay, now let's do a third problem. Okay, I have a plus sign, so that means that the terms inside the second parenthesis are not going to be affected. So I leave it the same. I don't have to rewrite anything. So let's take a look at what terms I have here. I have an x cubed, an x cubed. So 2 plus 1. Remember, the coefficient of x cubed is 1. But you're never going to see a 1x cubed, like the coefficient 1. So you know that there's an imaginary 1x cubed. So 2 plus 1 is 3x cubed. And I see if I have an x squared, I do have 3x squared minus 5x squared. They have different signs, right? Let me write it here. 3x squared minus 5x squared. Different signs, so you subtract. 5 minus 3, 2. And you leave the sign of the highest number. Negative 5 is negative, so it's negative 2x squared. So whenever you have different signs, you subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2, and you leave the sign of the highest number. I'm going to have negative 2x squared, and then let's see if I have an x raised to the first power. I do, which is negative x, right? And plus x is like if I have negative imaginary 1 plus 6x. Different signs, so I subtract. 6 minus 1, 5, and I leave the sign of the highest number. Highest number is plus 6, so it's positive. Plus 5x. And then I verify if I have constants. I do. So I have plus 4 and the negative 7. Different signs of subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3, and I leave the sign of the highest number, so it's negative 3. And that's it. Okay, this is my final answer. I cannot simplify more, and the exponents are ordered from the highest to the lowest. Let's take a look at the last problem. This one has a negative sign. So that means that then I'll have to rewrite the second part because the negative is going to affect every term inside the parentheses. So let's rewrite that. The first parenthesis is going to stay the same. 5x to the raised to the fourth power minus 2x cubed plus x minus 9. Then negative times 3x raised to the fourth power is negative 3x raised to the fourth power. Negative times 4x cubed is negative 4x cubed. Then negative times negative 2x, negative times negative is positive, plus 2x. And then the negative times positive 6 is negative minus 6. And that's it, right? Now I have to take a look at the like terms. Do I have another x raised to the fourth power? Yes, right? So 5x raised to the fourth minus 3. They have different signs, so I subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. And I leave the sign of the highest number. The highest number is 5, so it's positive. 2x raised to the fourth. Now I have to see if I have an x cubed. I do, right? So 2x cubed minus 4x cubed. Look at this one. They have the same sign, right? So I add them and then leave the sign that both of them have. 2 minus 4, negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6x cubed. They have the same signs. I add them. 4 plus 2, 6, and I leave the sign that both of them have. So negative 6x cubed. And I check if I have a raised to the second power. I don't have. So I go to the x raised to the first power. I have a plus x and I have a 2x. So remember, the x on its own is like if it's have a coefficient 1 and an exponent 1 raised to the first power, but they're never going to write it. So 2 plus 1 is plus 3x. Okay, and then finally check if I have constants. I do have constants, right? So negative 9 minus 6, negative 9 minus 6. I have to check, do they have the same sign? Yes, so I add 9 plus 6 is 15, and I leave the sign that both of them have, so minus 15. And that's it. It's already simplified. I cannot simplify more, and it's already ordered from the highest exponent to the lowest. And that's it. Well, thank you so much. Please make sure you subscribe, you give like, and anything you need, please let me know. You can leave your comments there if you need any help on any topic specifically. Thank you, and see you next time.